Thank you to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share our study. This was done in 2019-20 timeline. Basically, India started the study on the single-use plastics in around 2018. And in that backdrop, when Telangana government also came up with the understanding that by 2022 they wanted to make GHMC as a single-use plastic-free city. In that backdrop, we had undertaken this study with support from the United Nations Environmental Program. They had CCT ITC wing, which specializes on the plastic waste component, and they had supported us in developing the study, and of course GHMC had given us the free hand to do our analysis. So till now we have understood the technicalities of the plastic waste at the production part, and how much damaging it is for human health and environment. But once we dispose it of, how the municipal corporations they made all the effort to process it and treat it, and how they are doing it, and how our contribution can lead to a better solution for the entire plastic waste management value chain. That we'll discuss this presentation. So we call solid waste management that municipal corporations provide is usually a value chain, because it's not a waste. Waste is not waste. There is value attached to all the component, and definitely with the plastics. So that we need to understand. That our other esteemed speakers has also pointed out that plastic is ubiquitous and it's kind of unavoidable. It has become for our day-to-day life. But the challenge is how we dispose it, how we deal with it. That will harness its appropriate value, and through that, it will not create the pollution for which the users are responsible for. So we have a certain methodology that we followed. So as ma'am has already explained, that there are 7 types of plastic. So we carried out a quantification characterization survey. That should be the basis when we try to understand degree of the problem. So as we have already discussed that the LDP, which are the single-use plastic carry bags that we have seen like throughout the decades. So that is important to understand what kind of plastics we use, and what kind of plastic basically goes into the municipal solid waste stream. So we have done all those studies, and then we formulated the strategies and action plan that GHMC, or for that matter any ULP, can take it up to handle it in a better manner. So during our survey, we had found out that out of the entire municipal solid waste, 20% was plastic, which is a bigger amount considering 5,000 tons that only Hyderabad generates. So we can think like how the entire country can generate, and of course in the worldwide level. And LDP, which is the plastic carry bags, the milk pouches, those are one of the major nuisance makers, and these contribute to a significant portion of the entire plastic stream. And then comes the MLP, like multi-layer plastics. Why multi-layer? Because this cheese packets, biscuits, those are understood as multi-layer, because there is an aluminium layer between the 2 plastic layers. So that makes it most problematic in terms of recycling and processing during during the entire value chain. So though there are still some the efforts has been taken up by different entities across the country who are trying to tackle with particularly the MLP, but there are still lots of research needs to be done, so it is not yet well established. So this is also another major component of the entire plastic waste fraction that could be found in GHMC and also in all other cities that we have worked on. And the PET, the other components like PP, PS, which are HDP, like shampoo bottles, PP are the Tupperware, and some other like ice cream cups. Those cups are the PP category, and PET we all know mostly comprising of the water bottles. Those are considered as high value in the recycling market. Those are easy to recycle. First of all, there is an established technology that is being followed across the decades, and more importantly, those are because those are hard plastic, rigid ones, so it's easy to sort out when you are handling the waste. So that's why it has a very strong market, and those are valuable in the recycling and processing further manufacturing industries. This is the usual value chain if you try to study of any urban local body. So this is like well coordinated effort that is being practiced between the municipal corporation, and there is a multiple of informal workers that are involved across the value chain that makes the entire ecosystem of plastic waste management or the entire municipal solid waste management is like made successful through which. And here informal market, which are usually which play a very important role in recovering the plastic waste from the mixed waste that we dispose of. And then for the recycling part also, there are multiple of like informal entities that are present in and around Hyderabad in different industrial zones, which do not operate with any environmental regulations, and they operate without any environmental certificate from pollution control board. So those also need to be like understood from a municipal corporation's point of view. And because that like on the other hand of the value chain, they are a major polluter when plastic is not treated following certain guidelines. They emit lots of bad fume, and ultimately what the product comes out of it are not of great durability, and that can't be used for a long time. That ultimately reduces the number of the possible recycling for any particular plastic fraction. These are few strategies that we had come up with for a 10-year time frame, as I told that we had undertaken the study in 2019-20. So till 2030 we had set up certain targets, and of course it starts with the reducing the plastic waste and especially single-use plastic at the usage level. So reuse and reducing the use of the single-use plastics were the major criteria that should, like major recommendation that should be happening by 25. And of course all of us the consumers are the primary stakeholder for that for fulfilling that target. And then we have the like GHMC who should, or any ULB, they should be taking care of the collection and transport and the further processing in collaboration with the relevant industry players. And definitely the like strategy 4 and 5 were mostly dealing with the soft measures, as we already had speakers expertise in on the IEC level, where significant like awareness generation is required at the citizens level, and capacity building across the especially the informal workers who does not have the technical understanding of it, but they put in a lots of effort in improvising the chain. So they should be also involved in this entire process. And there were certain institutional strengthening measures that were also recommended during our strategy and action plan. So during our entire project time frame, we also undertaken some pilot intervention we had selected the Birla Mandir area because that was a major like tourist spot where lots of floating population. So our one of our target was also like apart from the resident population, the floating population also, because they carry out the messages. They have the potential to carry out the messages in a much larger spatial extent. So we chose that area, and we had actually distributed such biodegradable starch bag. So when we discuss about the alternatives, as Dr. Bhaskaran has already mentioned, that there are always the flip side of using the alternatives. So for paper, for jute bag, cloth bag, they can only outweigh, like they can only be beneficial if one particular piece of bag is used for like 20 or 30 times or 20 or 30 years for that matter, so that it can outweigh the damage that is carried out by a plastic bag, because plastic, paper or jute, this involves lots of environmental resource extraction, and their entire making also involves a large extent of carbon and water footprint. So we found out during through our like some secondary research that biodegradable starch bag that is coming out by using the polylactic acid in tapioca, then it can be also made from sugar cane. Those have relatively lesser footprint as compared to paper or cloth. We had discussion with pollution control board, CPET, and few other agencies who are working on this. So we decided to distribute those bags with the shopkeepers in that area. So that is also we could also understand that actually instead of selling those plastic bags, which we all get like at 1 or 2 rupees additional amount but paying that. So these biodegradable starch bag, if that those can be used, they can be a good alternative to plastics. And these are actually now readily available. There are lots of market players that are working on this. So we had done a study on that, and we distributed this kind of biodegradable starch bag. Uh, then we had actually set up a cloth bag manufacturing unit involving the SHG women in that area. We facilitated the marketing part, we involved them, we gave them handholding support in how they can get trained in. They had already had some understanding on the basic sewing and embroidery work. So that part can be better like harnessed and strengthened so that they could earn something, and they could also support the of course the environmental well-being of the on a like large scale. So we had trained them and we had facilitated their marketing. We had given them some sewing machines through which they were registered as a handloom like registered under Handloom Corporation of India. So we set up a stall for them during this their year Numaish exhibition as well. So they could also earn some additional amount because earlier they were not really self-employed, but through this effort they could produce some cloth bag. Um, and we had also carried out some IC activities which are actually very important when we venture into improvising the solid waste management or wastewater management, because users are the like the starting point through which the pollution start. So we had some local state level Dapunit activity, and we had set up some banners which can be like awareness dissemination tool for the local people. So as part of our project, we had actually set up some reverse vending machines, two in the MTPS bus stop and one in Charminar. This machine actually you can dispose your PET bottles, and you get some Paytm or some cashback, some discount, some that works as an incentive so that you can go like some few steps extra instead of disposing it just like randomly anywhere, throwing it anywhere, you can just go and put it over there, and there is a specific like O&M agency who takes care. So this machines crushes the bottle. So in this second photo, you can see that the bottles are actually crushed inside the machine itself, and it can separate out the cap, the labels, and if you are actually inserting a bottle with liquid in it, then it will automatically withdraw it. You can't really insert it. So this kind of through this kind of machines, this kind of private players, they have their own tie-up with registered recyclers. So the informal recycling that I had mentioned earlier, they actually don't much look into the environmental compliances, be it water, be it disposal of their wastewater, disposal of their process rejects that comes out of the recycling process, or the air quality in that area. So when they are registered in any part of the India, they will have to comply with certain pollution control standard. So they have the tie-up with these registered recyclers, and they streamline these PET bottles, and there are other machines as well who take care of other materials. So that way, basically, it can streamline the entire plastic waste without just disposing it anywhere, and it can be catered in a scientific manner. And so with PET, as sir has also mentioned, you can make fibers out of it, and that is used in sports jersey, in making caps. So this entity is also doing that, and actually it's estimated that about 6.5 kg per month carbon dioxide equivalent can be mitigated. That emission can be mitigated by use of this kind of machines from like one machine's estimate. So till now, these two machines, like in 1 year, 1 calendar year, they could actually cater to about close to 5,000 PET bottles that probably might have littered somewhere else, or if it is contaminated with food or any other material, it would have been really difficult for down the value chain for the municipal workers to make it contamination free and process it further. So this like SAT workers, we all know that this Swachh auto tippers that come door to door for our collection of waste. So they do it just to they sell it off to in many cases to just any random scrap dealers who again are not licensed, but they do it because they have some socio-economic dynamics with those particular scrap dealers. So during our process, we in just a one particular area, we had a capacity building sessions with these SAT workers, so that they understand what kind of valuable service they are providing to the society, and they can actually sell it to the DRCCs. So in Hyderabad, in many other cities, we have dry resource collection centers. In Hyderabad, these are tied up with the transfer stations where recyclables, be it plastic, be it any other paper, cardboard, metals, those are recovered, and then those are channeled to the processing industries. So instead of giving it to the scrap dealers, whom we don't know how they are actually going to dispose it of scientifically or unscientifically, we try to train the SAT workers to primarily collect the waste in segregated manner. So what happens many times, we at our home we are segregating the waste and we are giving them wet and dry, but in the vehicle they don't keep it segregated. They just dump both the buckets like together. So again it's getting ultimately mixed, and that is getting transferred to the transfer station and for the further processing. So ultimately the value of source segregation is negated in that process, and more importantly, it's not having any value for the further processing part, and it's getting again very difficult. So we tried to imitate. We actually trained about the importance of carrying this out, transporting this waste in segregated manner once the citizens are leaving them segregated. And then of course selling it to the authorized person, in this case TRCC or MRF, in whichever city they are working in, so that it can be channelized in authorized manner. So we have seen like in Indore, the source segregation that makes all the difference. In Indore, if we go to the transfer stations or any of the processing facility, like they have MRF, they have biomethanation, which is in much in talk about for last 1 year since its inauguration. Actually, it's one of the largest facility in India. You don't you can't smell any whole order, like that is like amazing in any other city. There's a major gap between the first ranking city in India and all other cities, and that happens just because they segregate, and they segregate like beautifully. You can't, no one can see any material mixed with the wet waste, and that's why the plants are running so beautifully. In any other cities, in many cities actually in India, the large plants are failing because the waste is not segregated, and once it is mixed like with good waste and in like such a bad manner, it's not possible to segregate at the plant level. So that is like a major point that we all should keep in mind, that segregation is the key if we really want to see a clean city. So these are mostly at the industrial level. There are like certain temperature standard that need to be maintained for recycling different types of plastic. So though we talk about like mostly wet and dry, and of course we are like we need to go a long way in starting segregating just at the wet and dry fraction. But even at the plastics, when we talk about the seven categories, they need different kind of processing technology, or for that matter, even the temperature is quite different. So that is the reason that MLP recycling MLP is very difficult, and that is the reason that it needs a very stringent segregation and sorting process at the plant itself, so that PET don't get mixed with HDP, HDP don't get mixed with PP, so that the recycled product that will be manufactured out of it is of good quality and that can be usable for a long time frame. Yeah, like apart from that, we of course need a like great level of data integration among the different organizations, like not only at the ULB, but we need integration between ULB and the scientific society, the CPET, the pollution control board, so that a major change can happen, and it will ultimately happen with us at the segregation level. Unless and until that happens, plants can come up, but there is a big chance of failing at that level even after there is like very good infrastructure is placed, lots of investment has been made. So we need to start at our doorstep when we are giving waste to the waste collector, and actually we also have the process of complaining it. If we can see that at least we can see that they are not really collecting the waste in segregated manner, they are just dumping it together. So these small things that we can do, so that municipal corporation can also take care of their own duty, and the entire value chain can be improved in line with like, all the national or international dialogue that is being happening for tackling the challenge of plastic waste. Okay. Thank you so much.